Hey guys, so we got a testimony from Kilmar Abrego Garcia. If you remember, he was sent to CCOT, and that's the El Salvadorian slave labor death camp, and the same one that Trump said he wants to start sending U.S. citizens to. The ones who beat people over the head with a baseball bat. Why not? We've got homegrowns, and I've got no problem. I've got no problem with it. Regardless, yeah, we were right. If you remember, you can go back to my videos months ago about this. I said this is a death camp. They're torturing these people in there. They're violating human rights, and that's exactly what's happening. And luckily, we've actually got to see or read a little bit of his testimony. We've got CBS's testimony of it, coverage of the testimony, and then we're going to watch MSDNC talk about it. But this is some crazy shit, guys, and I want to stress the importance of what we're talking about here because I firmly believe that the United States is in the early stages of an ethnic cleansing campaign on the Latino population. If you saw Laura Loomer tweeted out 65 million meals for the alligators coming right up, that's not the population of undocumented immigrants. That's the population of Latinos in the United States. So yeah, I do think this is like literally the beginning of an ethnic cleansing campaign. We already know a whole bunch of people are dying in ICE custody. Now we're getting this like weirdly cruel opening of alligator Auschwitz, and it just seems like empathy has been tossed out the window. So this is important to talk about. And note, this is just the man that we know of, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. So you can't even imagine what is happening to the people in there that we don't know of. Kilmar Abrego Garcia alleges severe mistreatment and psychological torture at Salvadoran mega prison. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man whose mistaken deportation by the Trump regime has fueled a months-long legal saga, alleged Wednesday that he faced psychological torture and severe beatings after he was sent to a supermax prison in El Salvador earlier this year. The new allegations emerged in a legal finding by attorneys for Abrego Garcia in Maryland federal court, seeking to amend his lawsuit against the Trump regime over his deportation. Abrego Garcia was flown back to the United States in early June, months after a Maryland judge ordered his return, and promptly charged with human smuggling in Tennessee. But his attorneys say they're concerned that he could be deported again. Abrego Garcia's lawyers have previously described his more than 3-week stint at El Salvador's Terrorism Confinement Center, or CCOT, as torture. But Wednesday's court filings offer new allegations of his severe mistreatment, which Abrego Garcia included severe beatings, severe sleep deprivation, inadequate nutrition, and psychological torture. He says he lost 31 pounds during his time in prison. Jesus Christ. Abrego Garcia, a Salvadoran national, was part of a group of more than 250 Venezuelan and Salvadoran men who were deported from the U.S. to El Salvador and held in CCOT in mid-March, shortly after his arrival at the Salvadoran mega prison. An official there said, quote, "Welcome to CCOT. Whoever enters here doesn't leave." Listen, that's a death camp. I don't give a fuck how you spin it. If whoever enters here never leaves, that is a death camp, okay? I know you're going to say, but we have life sentences in America. Yeah, but we don't have prisons where everyone in it is serving a sentence where you just say, no matter what, you're never leaving. That's not the same thing. That is nowhere close to the same thing. Oh, Jesus. And Trump wants to be working with them. He wants to send more people to these facilities. He said it himself. The filing states prison staff then forced Abrego Garcia to strip and change into a uniform, kicked him to make him hurry up, shaved his head, and marched him to a cell while hitting him with batons, leaving him with visible bruises and lumps all over his body. Abrego Garcia says he was kept in a crowded, windowless cell with metal bunks and lights that remained on for 24 hours a day. That's a violation of human rights. In one case, Abrego Garcia and his cellmates were allegedly forced to kneel for 9 hours and were struck if they fell down. Holy ever-loving fuck, dude. Hold on. Anyway, sorry. After more than 3 weeks, Abrego Garcia says he was transferred to a different area and was photographed with mattresses and better food and what believed to be staged images. Abrego Garcia was eventually transferred to a different prison nearly. So literally, once they realized that this guy may potentially leave, they started changing it all up to give him good, to make him look good. All right, let's look at this.
Tonight, we are learning disturbing new details about what goes on inside the brutal CCOT mega prison where the Trump administration has shipped off a number of immigrants. Attorneys for the mistakenly deported Maryland father, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, revealed the horrific details in a new court filing this week. The filing said, in part, quote, Abrego and 20 other Salvadorans were forced to kneel from approximately 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., with guards striking anyone who fell from exhaustion.
That's insane.
During this time, Abrego Garcia was denied bathroom access and soiled himself. This is just a horrifying revelation. At the same time, it's not exactly surprising. In a way, I think we knew this story was going to go this direction. And Catherine, you and I have covered immigration and detention facilities more broadly for quite a long time.
Anybody who studied history knew this shit was happening. I called this shit fucking almost a year ago. I said Trump is going to start sending these people to concentration camps.
Even here on American soil, where there's more oversight, these kinds of abuses are routinely reported from large facilities to small county jails. But I'm curious how it's affected you.
I mean, it's very upsetting, obviously, in its own right. And I'm glad that we are hearing about what those conditions were, because it was not always obvious that he was going to get out and be able to testify to what happened. I think the theme I keep coming back to every time one of these horrible stories comes out is this is being done in our names. Right? These kinds of human rights abuses, whether it's the mere fact of like masked agents snatching people off of the streets or people ending up in these inhumane circumstances, these are all being done under the cover of keeping Americans safe, and I do not feel safer.
And
that's exactly what the fucking Germans said. They said that they were ridding the undesirables out of Germany. So for the greater good of the German people, because these people were actually bringing our society down. These people are criminals and rapists and murderers. It's the exact same fucking story, bro. History may not repeat itself, but it certainly fucking rhymes. And people such as myself have been screaming bloody murder for a fucking year. And now, only fucking now, does the goddamn mainstream media catch up. When it's too fucking late, when he's passed the bills, when the fucking Alcatraz is set up, fuck!
All it does is it shows that due process, at any moment, the Trump administration is willing to just disregard it and not, heed the rule of law. I guess what was so striking to me from the aftermath of what Abrego Garcia said he endured, he lost 31 pounds in 2 weeks. He went from insane. 215 pounds to
Brother, remember the pictures of the concentration camps and what the Jews looked like when they came out? What the fuck do you think these people at CCOT look like? Why do you think there's no journalists in there?
184. That is a dramatic weight loss for 2 weeks. To be in conditions where you're losing that much weight, that is what the U.S. government sanctioned and deemed appropriate. It is just not civilized. This is backsliding into, centuries
shit.
And centuries past.
And they think this is a success story, right? I mean, they're working to ship off more people to...
Because you got people like Stephen Miller at the top who are actually, unironically, literally fucking Nazis. Just say it, please. There are Nazis at the top. There are Nazis in our government.
To third countries that they don't want here without due process. Like if you look at all the reporting on potentially expanding the so-called travel ban, that they've basically said one way to get out of this travel ban is to let us send other, undesirables from our country, other immigrants to your shores.
They said it, undesirables. Bro, we're in a fucking Nazi military coup d'etat. It is a Nazi coup d'etat. We have been couped. We have been couped.
To your point, though, it sounds like something that's centuries old, right? That this should be some kind of like medieval form of torture. But I did just a few weeks ago for NBC Nightly News a story about a person who'd been detained in an Ohio county jail that had a contract with ICE, who described, he alleges that people were regularly beating men for almost no reason, to the point where there would be blood gushing out into the facility. You know, these are the kinds of conditions when you hear people use phrases like mass deportation now, and we're trying to hit certain quotas. This is sort of the logical.
We're trying to hit a 3,000 person a day quota, which is why the Trump regime has begun deporting U.S. citizens born on U.S. soil. I don't give a fuck who you are. You are not safe.
Endpoint of that kind of system.
Well, and
I
we're
think
only
more
going to see
Americans
more of it too, because this is what the big beautiful bill has funded. More
That is a great
ICE,
point.
not Customs and Border Protection. We are shifting to internal police state, and that's what.
And
we're
in some
gonna see
cases,
more of.
very long term.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Listen, I hate to say I told you so, and I do mean that. I truly do hate to say I told you so, but I've been warning you for a very, 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 very long time that the United States is on a descent into fascism, and I hate to inform you that it has arrived. The signing of this bill finalized the bitter end of the United States of America and the beginning of the Fourth Reich. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing, and it helps me immensely. Also, remember, this is what real independent media looks like. It looks like some douchebag in such a bad setup that he's losing frames. If you want to support the channel financially, please become a member. Please become a patron. Please buy merch. Please hit that thanks button down below, and please use the discount code for Ground News in the description below. Thank you for 74,000 subs. I appreciate you all. We're trying to hit 100K as soon as possible. And big shout out to everybody and anybody who's ever donated to the channel. You guys are the ones who keep this shit going. I love you very much. And do me a favor, click that video over there. It's a banger, and I know bangers.